For ACUSports.com, I'm Grant Boone talking some men's hoops with head coach Joe Golding. His team opens the 2018-19 season next Tuesday night, and then the following Friday night, a home game again against Arkansas State. So you get Arlington Baptist, then Arkansas State. We'll talk about those opponents here in a moment, but first, Coach, just in general, how ready is this team to start the season?
I think we're ready. You get to practice 24 was yesterday, and I think you get to this point in time, it's time to, kind of put the uniform on and turn the lights on and go out there and play. Sometimes you're sick and tired of just beating up on each other, and so, we were fortunate enough to have two really, really good scrimmages, so that's helped break the monotony of practice a little bit. But I think at this time, I know our guys are ready to get out there. I don't know as a coaching staff. I think you're always nervous this time of year. If you have everything covered yet, have you gone over things? But and we won't. But we're trying to go over as much as possible. But I know they're ready to go out.
Two scrimmages against teams from bigger conferences. What can you tell us that came out of those scrimmages that encourages you and maybe gives you some things you want to work on?
Yeah, the most encouraging thing for me were both those teams are very, very well coached, and they're very, very good teams. New Mexico State obviously won 25, 26, 27 games last year, made the NCAA tournament, returns a lot. And then Coach Casper's teams are one of the best defensive teams in the country. And so we were able to get better in those two scrimmages. But there was positives and negatives on both things. Obviously, again, we're implementing some new things offensively and some new things defensively. And so getting out, being able to go do that, not just against ourselves where we know what's coming, and go do it against somebody else, which they don't know what's coming every time. So it was good to see our execution on those things. And then against Texas State, they really, really pressured us, and so it was good to play against pressure and learn to be disciplined with the basketball and still be able to get to the right areas that we want to.
Heading into your first practice, when we spoke with you a few weeks ago, we talked about the talented freshmen you've brought in, players like Joe Pleasant and Clay Gaiman and Damian Daniels, and a redshirt freshman in Tobias Cameron. Now that they've had a few weeks to practice, I know they were here during the summer, but now that they've had a chance to practice in that cauldron of the preseason practices, what can you tell us about them?
I'm excited about this freshman class. They bring a lot of energy, and they bring some size and some length and some muscle to us. And then obviously Damian's really, really fun to watch in the open floor. So I'm excited for this freshman class to grow up. They've played well through 24 practices. They've done well in the scrimmages. But again, they're freshmen, And so the good thing about those guys is they have a bunch of juniors and seniors in that locker room that they can look up to, that they can see how it's done. And then when those juniors and seniors leave, the legacy will continue to go on. And so they're learning how to work. They're learning that every day matters, every rep matters, every possession matters. But they're fun to be around. They've brought a lot of energy and enthusiasm into the locker room. And, I'm excited to coach them. I think that they're all four are going to have really good careers. The thing about freshmen, sometimes when you have a group that big, the one thing we've talked behind the scenes, every one of their journey is going to be different. Some might play more than others early. Some might have a different role than others early. You look at Jay Frank and Jaron, and I use that as an example now to where, Jay Frank averaged 16, 17 points a game as a freshman, and Jaron will still come along to now the player that Jaron is today and leave the locker room. And so every freshman, kind of has a different timetable on what they do, and I don't think these four will be any different. I think that, they'll but if they stay together and stay through the process, I think it's going to be a really good class.
And these are players who have, most of them, played every minute of every game for the last several years, and all of a sudden it's like they're maybe not by far the best player on the court.
If you want to build a program, Grant, and I really truly believe this, and I think this is where we're at now. When you recruit freshmen and they can learn from seniors and learn from an upperclassman locker room, that's what a program looks like, and then they take it over, after that. And then when they become juniors and seniors, you recruit more freshmen, and they see what it looks like, compared to freshmen that just have to step right in, and have four freshmen play, and they have no idea what Division I basketball looks like or feels like or what they're supposed to be doing in practices to, if that makes sense. And so
it's the difference between a good year and a good program.
Right, exactly. And I know there's some freshmen that want to play 30 minutes and probably could care less, on the wins and losses. Freshmen just want to play. Seniors want to win. So, I think that's an encouraging thing for me, that we've built this program the right way, and these freshmen are learning from really good juniors and seniors.
It is interesting to juxtapose these two freshman classes. Tremendous talent in this freshman class. When these seniors came in as freshmen, we talked about how dynamic they were, the two Haydens, Farquhar and Howell, and then, of course, Jalen Franklin and Jaron Lewis. Now they are seniors. You tend to look, fans I think, but certainly even coaches, you look at a season and a team before the season starts, and you have expectations certainly based on who you have on the roster. And over the course of these last few years, as you have developed this into a Division I roster, your expectations have been a little bit different. This year, the expectations are high, aren't they, based on who you bring back?
Yeah, I think there's, we're, coach speak is you don't care about preseason polls, and I think that's the truth. We got to, everything's earned, nothing's given. We're going to have to go through 18 league games to see where it finishes. But on the other side of it, getting picked 4th is a heck of a lot better than getting picked 12th or 13th, which when we started this thing, we were picked. So, I think that's a credit to what we have coming back. I think that's a credit to the development of those guys in our program by our staff. And I think these guys have to embrace that. That's what I told them. That's not pressure, I think that's part of the journey, from being where you were to freshman to where you are as seniors now. And so I do think there is a sense of urgency as us as a staff and the players for them to win at the highest level. And we said when we got in this, we wanted to compete for Southland Conference championships, and I think we're getting closer to doing that. I don't know if we're there yet. 18 league games will decide that. We got a really tough non-conference schedule this year that will help prepare us for that. But I definitely think there's a comfort level to me when you have a bunch of guys back. I know what I have in that locker room, and I know what I'm probably going to get every night from those guys, and then we're continuing to learn what those freshmen can give. But this team is different than last year's team. There's no question. When you add 4 new players to the roster, it's different. We won't play the same way. It's just a different makeup. And so this journey is different. This team is different, and it starts Tuesday night, and we'll continue to put it together along the way.
Is there one thing you could give us as an example of how this team might play differently?
I like our toughness, and I like our size inside. I guess just our physical strength in around the rim. I think we can finish around the rim. We're getting a lot easier looks, and then I like our ball movement, our spacing a lot better with this group. It's a very unselfish group. I think mentally we still have to get tougher. I think that's something we're challenging our seniors when things don't go right, or when they've played minutes and they get fatigued to continue to fight through. I think that's what championship teams, I think that's what great teams do. In fact, I challenged them last week in practice. Do they just want to be known as just okay, and just being mediocre, and 16 and 16? Is that okay with them? If not, we've got to continue to challenge them and continue to push buttons and continue to fight through some mental toughness type things to get to that next level's hard. It's tough to get
Getting
there.
here was hard, but every step is hard.
It's hard, and that's where we're at, and that's what we're in search of, and they want it, and they just haven't done it yet, and we have to continue to show them how it's done and continue to push the right buttons to get them there.
You have 7 games in your first 21 days, if I counted correctly, from November 6th to November the 27th. You start with a non-Division I, non-NCAA team in Arlington Baptist, but then you get a team from the Sun Belt, a team you coached against when you were at Arkansas Little Rock as an assistant at Arkansas State. They got you pretty good at their place last year. It's a full 3 weeks for your team coming up, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be a really tough non-conference schedule. We put it together that way. We thought our team was ready to play a tough non-conference schedule, and I think the better teams you play in non-conference and the different systems that you play, whether offense or defensively, prepares you for conference play. So I'm excited about our non-conference schedule. Although it's tough, I think it's going to challenge our guys, and we're definitely going to get challenged by Arlington Baptist on Tuesday night. And there's no question, Friday night, Arkansas State, as you said, they kicked us around pretty good at their place. They jumped on us early, and I think they controlled the game for the whole 40 minutes. And so we got to be able to play much better than we did down there at their place. And I know they'll be ready to go down here and try to sweep us. So we'll get tested early. I think after that, I can't even think that far. But I think it's Denver, and I think Denver's getting a lot of pub. As a really good mid-major team this year, and picked very, very high in their league. And then obviously we go out to Pacific. So and play 3 really good teams out there. So, but that's exciting. That's why you play Division I college basketball. That's why you coach is for competition. So I'm excited to go compete with our guys.
Preseason number 4 in the Southland Conference with 2 second-team selections in Jaron Lewis and Jelani Friday, and the 2018-19 season begins next Tuesday night at Moody Coliseum, the first of 2 games at Moody next week to open the season.